Hello, 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 and welcome back. A happy 2023. It is a new year, which is great. Hopefully, you had a wonderful New Year's. I had a very nice, calm, cool, peaceful time in the house on New Year's Eve. Anyway, wanted to welcome you back. To everyone that is already subscribed. I appreciate you, of course, for always following the journey. And for everyone whose video this is the first time you seeing me, or second, third, feel free to subscribe if you indeed like what you see. So I would like to do a recap of my first semester in sonography school. Being someone who was just starting out from scratch, having absolutely no clue what to expect, I figured it'd be good to do a recap for those of you who are interested in maybe joining a sonography program, or in the process trying to decide which program you want to get into, or in the process of applying, and so on and so forth. So I am Shonda, and this past semester, which was my very first semester as a sonography student, I tried to do mostly weekly vlogs, and I think that you'll see all the way up to about week 11. I'll try to leave like a card, and then in the description box put the actual playlist, because I've noticed that cards don't actually show up when you watch like videos on TV. So I'll leave it in the description box, or you can just search it. It's my sonography playlist, and it has all the videos that I did last year. School starts next week. As a matter of fact, in a few days, I shouldn't even see next week because this is a Wednesday and school starts on Monday. And let me tell you, I had an amazing break. There is nothing like having a good 3.5 weeks off to really help you to like reset and get back into the mindset of school. Because when I tell you, when I got to finals week, I was over it. I had so many things going on in my personal life as well as school life that I was at the end of my wits, to be totally honest. But anyway, all right, so let's go to semester one. So semester one, I had a hybrid program. So I only went into school on Fridays. Friday was the only day that I went into the building and I saw other students and I spoke to them and we got together and we did things and I saw my professors and things like that, only on Fridays. Monday through Thursday and the other days of the week, I was just home doing the rest of my program online because it was hybrid. The classes that I took in my first semester, and I put them here so that I don't forget my whole program list. I had medical ethics, introduction to healthcare, medical terminology, rhythm analysis, cardiovascular anatomy and physiology, beginner ultrasound physics and instrumentation, and for the fall semester of a freshman year in sonography, for my particular program, it was 14 credits. On that list, the only class that I did not take because I had already taken it and transferred it over was medical terminology. But that gives you kind of an idea on what the course load was, and it was 14 credits. And let me tell you, it was a lot of work. Going into this, I wasn't sure what to expect. I thought that in the first semester I would do a bit more in my actual like field of program, what I chose, but it actually was more just getting you prepared for getting there, if that makes sense. Hopefully it does. So this upcoming semester, I jump like feet into my specialization. In my first semester, I was not into my specialty. So I had a lot of general courses to get you started for the program. And then I had a beginner ultrasound and instrumentation class, but that class was also shared with other students who were in different specialties. So my specialty is cardiovascular. I am a cardiovascular sonography student. There are many different versions. So you have cardio, you have general, you have peds. I know some of the students that I took class with in my ultrasound, my beginner ultrasound class. So it was us cardio students, it was vascular students, and electrophysiology, and then one other type of ultrasound tech program that was in there. But anyway, to get to the point, it was hard. It was hard. It was difficult. And the funny thing is that when you hear the name of the classes, you don't really expect it to be too tough in the way of like learning things. but it was difficult. I think the work at hand were things that were easy to absorb and easy to understand, but it was a lot of it. When I tell you, I felt like I was in some type of writing intensive boot camp. That's what it felt like. I was pulling my hair out because I had so much writing to do every week. And along with writing come citations. I'm not really a huge fan of citations. So there were a lot of citations to do, specifically for my medical ethics. And I'm just looking at the paper that has my course schedule on it. My medical ethics class and introduction to healthcare, when I tell you the things that were drilled into your skull that first semester were one, ethics and being ethical as a healthcare worker, and then two, also being compassionate as a healthcare worker, because I think in the healthcare field there are definitely areas in which we could be better, and areas where we could grow, and areas where people are lacking. Compassion is one of them, but also on the flip side, if you kind of see what's going on in the world, there's also a lot of overworked healthcare workers. So yes, be prepared for writing. Be prepared for writing the essays, the discussion boards, the short essay. There was really no such thing as a short essay. We got assigned essays that were supposed to be short essays, but there were no way in the world that they could be a short essay because the topics made it so that you had to write full on essays. Discussion board, you think, oh, okay, I'm going to go in there, I'm going to do my discussion board, and I'm going to jot down a few sentences. No, ma'am, no, sir. No, you had to put a full on paper in there and then respond in turn to the people who wrote to you. One of the most difficult parts of the writing intensive portion of it was the fact that I had to respond to discussion boards with citations, which made it not feel as truly genuine as I would like. Because if I'm having a discussion and I've read your post, I want to say, oh, hey, that sounds really good. I agree with this. I believe that. The end. Good job. Done. No, it was, you have to say what your thoughts are. You have to pose a question to facilitate the conversation going further. And then you also needed to add citations. So one of the other newer things that happened for me in this first semester was the grade scale was changed. I came from a school where the grades, they didn't have like A minuses, A pluses, B minuses, that type of thing, but the scale was different. So for example, an A was a grade, if you got between a 90 and 100, you got an A. If you got between an 80 and an 89, you got a B. If you got between a 70 and a 79, I'm guessing, you got a C, like that. When I entered into the sonography program, I think it's called like a 7-point scale or something, the grades changed. It changed and it went way steeper than expected. So in order to get an A, you have to have at least a 93. So everything 93 and above was an A. I believe a B was like 85 and above, and I can tell you what a C was because I wouldn't really get no C's like that. But also in this program, you can't really get below a C. So basically when you first enter in, they say if your grade point average in a class and in general is below a 79.5, then you fail. That is considered a failure. There's no D's, there's no F's, there's none of that stuff. So be prepared to be trying to put forth your best work. And it gets stressful when you have a lot of things that are due at one time. So that was the bulk of medical ethics and intro to healthcare. It was a lot of reading and it was a lot of writing. When it came to my cardiovascular anatomy and physiology class, it was a lot of memorizing. It was a lot of memorizing. It was a lot of trying to absorb all the information that was being given to me. Because you think like when you come from a program where you study biology, like for example, outside of sonography, I'm a bio major. Love it, but we can talk about that another day. When you study the body, the full body, human anatomy and physiology, there's so much to take in, so much to absorb, so much to really get through. And so I thought going into my cardio A&P class that, oh, okay, this is going to be light work, right? Because the heart is only one thing. How much could you really fit into a 16-week course of just the hearts anatomy, and physiology. Let me tell you, I was sadly mistaken. I was sadly mistaken. You only really graze the surface of the body parts when you take your bio AMP1, your bio AMP2, but you really do a deep dive into cardiovascular anatomy and physiology in that particular course. A deep dive. And not only do you do a deep dive into that, but you also have to know quite a bit about the other parts of the body and how they are functioning. I did this one poster, and maybe I'll post it in here or a picture or something, where I had to do a poster on cardiomyocytes. I had another poster that I had to do on the kidneys and the functions of the kidneys and how that connected to the various parts in the cardiovascular system and all sorts of things. It was a lot of memorization and reading and a lot of truly absorbing, because I'm a cardiovascular student. So that means that everything about the heart I need to know, and I have to have the basis of it to be successful in the next parts of my particular program. So anyway, that class, a lot of memorization, a lot of reading, a lot to understand, okay? We had 2 major tests, only a midterm and a final. So that meant that the weeks before, all those weeks, you needed to absorb all that information for the one midterm. All the other weeks and part of some of that you had to absorb for the final exam. So it was a lot. It was definitely a lot to take in. Now let's get into ultrasound class. So the first class that I took that was ultrasound related was called Beginner Ultrasound and Instrumentation. And in the beginning, it seems fairly easy, right? Because what you're learning about sound and how it works in the body and the images that it produces for us and things seems relatively easy. But one of the things that you learn, and my ultrasound teacher said it all the time, and she still drills it into your head, that the ultrasound machine is stupid. So for those of you who are just watching this video because you watched me and you're interested in seeing my journey, I thank you. And for those of you who came here from my TTC journey and you've gone through lots of ultrasounds and things like that, the one thing my teacher always drilled in was that the ultrasound machine is stupid. Now, that's something that I did not know. I did not know going into this program. Being someone that didn't really have any prior medical experience, and the only medical experience I had was going to the doctor and getting an ultrasound myself. I just assumed that the ultrasound machine told you a good portion of what you needed to know. So you had the basic knowledge, you knew the anatomy and the physiology, you knew what you were looking at on the screen, but I thought it told you the little things that you need to know. But in reality, it doesn't. Like, y'all, let me tell you right now, it doesn't. You are the one that determines what's on that screen. You are the one that determines what flow you see. You are the one that determines where the color is on the color Doppler. You are the one that determines what organs and things that you are looking at and you are seeing. It is all literally you. All the ultrasound machine does is send the sound waves so that it creates an image on the machine. But once that image pops up, you gotta know all the things. You have to know all the things. It literally tells you nothing, literally nothing. And I say that over and over again so that you actually get it and you actually understand, because there is some true skill that goes into being an ultrasound technologist, okay? And so it starts off very small, very baby steps, very, this on top of that, on top of this, on top of that. But then you start to realize that this one definition is also the same as this definition, which also means that word, which also is this wavelength that's similar to that. And understanding what is inverse and what is proportional to different things in the cycle in ultrasound, y'all, it takes a lot. So I had 4 major tests in that particular class. As a matter of fact, it was 3 major tests, and then we had quizzes that we had mostly every week. I didn't write any essays or anything like that, but it was all about absorbing the information. Because I wasn't yet in my specialty, again, I was in this class with other people of other specialties, but who would be doing ultrasound. So in this semester, I took a beginner ultrasound class. Next semester, I take an advanced one. Then the following one, I take an intermediate one, and take it with other people, because at the basis of things, there are certain like ground foundational things that you have to understand about ultrasound in order to do your particular specialty. So we all sit in this one class together, even though we're really gonna like branch off and do our own different things in our separate fields, because there is some basic things that you have to understand. And so of all my classes, that was the more difficult class for me. I loved my professor. She was very good at what she did. She was very interactive. She got us really thinking, and she was very good at explaining things and breaking things down. So I was very appreciative of that, and I look forward to more of it in this upcoming semester, of which I'm going to do a whole video on what's happening in this upcoming semester, because a whole lot changes now that I'm going into my specialty. So the other class that I had was rhythm analysis. I did not like my rhythm analysis class. And it's largely because of the way that the semester started. It was not a 16-week course. It was an 8-week course. And so that made it short already. And that's because they said there wasn't enough information to really fit into 16 weeks. I honestly believe that there was. Rhythm analysis, to be honest, I felt like was a class that I didn't really need. And if you're wondering what rhythm analysis is, it has to do with ECG. So if you go to a doctor's appointment and they put on all the little leads on you and they're testing the electricity in your heart, and you go and you see the little squigglies on the line, it's basically learning and understanding how to read that. Was I appreciative of it? Yes. Am I happy that I know what I'm seeing when I see on a screen? Yes. Do I feel like it's something that I would specifically need in my particular job? Not so much, but excuse me, there's room for it when it comes to like stress tests and facilitating those type of things. So those are also things that cardio techs can do. But anyway, it was an 8-week class. We really only ended up having 4 of them. It was a lot of information to really sit and understand. We didn't have a tremendous amount of lectures. The lectures we did were not great. I would not say, like my ultrasound teacher, that this particular professor for this course was good for what we were trying to learn. And that was an overall consensus of all the students in the class. I think we probably would have had a better experience if we had the opportunity to be able to have the full 8 weeks, but no, not for me. I think that if you have a good professor for your rhythm analysis class, it's definitely something that you can enjoy. And I was happy to learn the little things that I did learn, even though I feel like it's not something that I need to really super keep in mind for my specialty. Although there were other people in that class that actually do need it for their specialty. So if you know, in sonography programs, they are super selective. Classes are very small. In my current class of cardiovascular sonographers, there are only 7 of us, if I'm totally right. I'm pretty sure there's 7. There's room for 8, but I'm pretty sure that there's 7. And so some of our classes were bigger because we took them with other people because we weren't in our specialty. Unlike next semester, I'm going to spend a whole lot of time with the other 6 people because we're pretty much in all of our classes together. So that was pretty good. And then I told you I didn't take medical term because I had already taken it already. So my takeaway from the first semester was, one, when they tell you that you need a lot of time to study, they're not playing. It's not like one of those things where they're just telling you just for your health and you're like, yeah, I could do this and I could do that and I could do this and I can do that all at the same time. No, because something will be lacking at some point. There were some students that had jobs at the beginning of the semester that did not have jobs at the end because they decided that like they really needed to leave the job or take back a lot from it in order to be successful in the program. And that's because it takes a lot of studying. It takes a lot of studying, it takes a lot of time, it takes a lot of energy, it takes a lot of absorbing, it takes a lot of memorizing. And so it is difficult, as they say, but it's worth it, right? So it's definitely worth it. I talked about this in a different video. In my first week of class, we ended up meeting the seniors of our cardiovascular sonography program. And one of the things that stood out was that they said, you know, it's very difficult. It is hard, but keep on going. You get it. You will understand. Don't give up. Don't leave. Just keep going. I won't forget that this one student was like, if you got to get up and you got to walk around, go outside, walk around, but don't get in your car. Don't get in your car and drive away, because you got this. You can definitely do it. And so although I tell you that it's hard and it's difficult, I believe that it is doable. But I also believe that it requires a certain amount of sacrifice in order to be successful in it. And so that's something for you to really think about, especially if you are thinking about getting into this program. There are a lot of things to consider. I'm actually going to do a video in the upcoming weeks, hopefully, about being in a program, not having a job, or having a part-time job, and that type of thing. Because someone was saying that they had just got into their program. They are not older like how I am. So I happen to be 36. They're not in that age bracket. They're more of, as they described, a super broke college student. And how are they supposed to survive and pay their bills if they're just getting into college and they just got into their program and stuff? So that's something that I want to do a video about, and I do want to talk about, because I find that there's a lot of sacrifice that you have to make when you want to be in these particular type of sonography programs, because clinicals will take you out. They will take you out in terms of your time, because they are definitely like full-time jobs. So there's a lot there that I want to talk about, but I just want to do this recap on semester 1. Surprisingly enough, I survived. I made it through. Finals week was like hell week. It is literally like hell week. There was, it was like hell week. There was a group project that I had for ethics that was 16 weeks long, that we had to come out with a cumulative several page essay for that we had to turn in. I had an end of year project that I had to do for intro to healthcare. I had to create a PowerPoint presentation of at least 21 slides, talking about how to be a cultural competent healthcare worker, doing it as if I was the trainer for this class. And then I had the 2 major finals for beginner ultrasound, and then also cardiovascular A&P. Like, it was a lot. But the one thing that I can say is that after having these 3.5 weeks off, I feel so much better. I feel so rejuvenated. I feel so ready to get into school on Monday. Like, I am ready. Now I gotta go from January to May. And at some point, I'm probably gonna be like, I'm gonna have to look back at this video, but just a little break is real nice. It's a really nice reset. So anyway, thank you so much for watching this video. If you are a sonography student or hoping to be a sonography student, you want tips, tricks, want to see how my journey is going, be sure to subscribe. I am planning to do my weekly vlog for this semester coming up. I'm hoping to definitely keep up with it, and I say mostly weekly because when school is kicking your butt, it's kicking your butt, and there's just no way around it. But I did get a good portion of the semester at least recorded for the last semester. So here we are, spring of 2023, getting ready to really jump into this. And I'm going to do another video just to tell you about all the changes that are about to happen in my life and in my program. But anyway, please be sure to give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. If you like it, as always, leave me a comment. I love comments. I always respond to my comments. I am very thankful for them. If you'd like to see me a little bit more, I am on Instagram at patientlywoven and the number 1. And I'll leave it over here or there in the description box or somewhere. Anyway, good luck this semester.